Is Zeke losing his standoff with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys? And should AB's Raider teammates be afraid of Brown coming after them? More First Take now.
You guys know we're going to be out there, by the way, in Dallas.
Why are we going out there? We all know that Cowboy fans are scared of me.
These damn Cowboy fans are behind me. Y'all remember this? I know I do. Last time the Dallas Cowboys won anything, you had an afro. There you go. What can't go wrong will go wrong. You lucky I took time out of my schedule to be here. Y'all don't win nothing. When you go to history, let's go into history. Don't just go to your history. Let's go to the history.
This man is working so hard, I think his health is in jeopardy.
Don't worry about no damn Cowboy fans. They don't matter.
I reckon we're going to have a very, very good time.
Oh, we're headed back. The NFL season is here. The Cowboys open up against my New York Football Giants in Texas. First Take in Arlington, kicking off the season at Texas Live. That's Friday, September 6th. Doors open 7:30 a.m. So come see First Take live in Big D. It is always a good time. I promise you that.
I don't have anything to report there. We don't have anything to report on our contract negotiation. We have to be prepared to be trite. We have to be prepared to play without any given player. We may very well play without a player that is not coming in on his contract. So, listen, we've got a marathon here, and we want Zeke when we get to the playoffs. We want Zeke when we're in the dog days of this season.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to First Take, coming to you live from the Seaport District at Pier 17, brought to you by Chase. Big Jerry speaking this morning in Dallas with the latest on the Zeke standoff, saying the start of the regular season is not the deadline to get a deal done. Max Kell, who's got the upper hand now, Zeke or Cowboys?
It's actually Ezekiel Elliott. And it doesn't mean he has unlimited leverage here. He won't be a free agent next year. He can't do a Le'Veon Bell did and become a free agent and all that stuff. But the Cowboys have Super Bowl aspirations, and they're about to pay their quarterback. And what do we all know? The quarterback on the rookie deal, since quarterbacks are clearly overpaid, the quarterback on the rookie deal that's the window you have to build a team around him. They're about to lose that window. But they got everything they need except maybe the coach right now. They got an offensive line. They got a defense. They got a quarterback. They got a running back. They got a lead. Wide out.
They got everything but coach. I'm sorry to laugh in the middle of your soliloquy. They got everything but coach.
They made the playoffs.
This is football.
The point is they are loaded, and the time is now. Now, when Jerry Jones says, hey, it's a marathon, we want him healthy for the playoffs, that makes it sound like he's really digging Zeke, like, hey, you know. Yeah. But in fact, that tips his hand a little bit. Because what it tells me is if Ezekiel Elliott is willing to follow through and sit out and miss those game checks, which are not insignificant, he has a big rookie deal, he's drafted fourth. If he's willing to do that.
Right.
The Cowboys will fold. Stephen A., look at their schedule. You've pointed to this. Weren't even good enough to split those first two games. What if they lose those first two games without Ezekiel? Everyone's like, well, if they win, his leverage goes. But what if they lose? They're just about as likely to lose as they are to win without Ezekiel Elliott. Those games, NFL East rivals. By the way, that opening game, because they got to go on the road against Washington, that opening game against the Giants is actually a must-win game without Zeke if they want to win the contract negotiation. In fact, at this moment, Ezekiel Elliott, they both have some leverage. I think Ezekiel Elliott has a little more if he's willing to miss game checks.
Question is, who has the upper hand? It would happen to be the Dallas Cowboys. Here's why. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, it's Ezekiel Elliott that has 2 years left on his deal. It's Ezekiel Elliott that can be franchised for a third year. It's Ezekiel Elliott that decided to make this move in the middle of their negotiations with Dak Prescott. it's also the Dallas Cowboys schedule that they have available to them. The Giants, the opening game, Washington with Case Keenum as their quarterback, if I remember correctly. And then you got Miami that's got a new coach and possibly Ryan Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen, whoever the hell they have, okay? So you got this going on. So really, September 29th, every game for the Dallas Cowboys without Ezekiel Elliott is absolutely positively winnable before New Orleans on September 29th. Then we take into account this. You also got to remember that if you're the Dallas Cowboys, although you got Jason Garrett as your coach, which is an impediment to your success, I would argue, you got a first-year offensive coordinator in Kellerman. He's a pass-happy kind of guy. He seems to be, he's purportedly the kind of guy that wants to air it out. We're trying to find out about Dak. And so if you are Jerry Jones and you really, really want to find out what Dak is made of, okay, I could make the argument that the deal hasn't been reached yet for that reason. Not that I think it will happen. I think ultimately you'll take care of your quarterback. But one could make the argument that that might have something to do with the procrastination that appears to exist on the part of him and Dak. Because without Ezekiel Elliott, I want to see what you got. So in other words, what I'm saying is time is on the Cowboys. It might not be on Jerry Jones' side, who's turned 76 this year, but time is on the Cowboys' side.
Ding, ding, ding.
I understand, but he knows that too, Max, and he's willing to take that chance. He's willing to take that chance. So if you are Ezekiel Elliott, here's the risk, and I'll just throw this out to you, and then I'll give it to you. What if Dak goes out there with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, and he's airing it out 35, 40 times a game, and he looks big time as a passer, and their passing attack is formidable. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott will only buffer all of that stuff. But what I'm
that comes in, it'll give one or the other leverage. In other words, if they start the season 0-2 and Dak looks bad, then Zeke's leverage goes up. If they start the season 2-0 and Dak looks great, then Zeke's leverage goes down. The Cowboys' leverage goes up. We're talking about right now. Right now, the Cowboys are in a position to win the Super Bowl. You cannot say that about the Cowboys. You couldn't for years and years and years, and they haven't done it in almost a quarter century. And Jerry Jones is not a spring chicken.
But I don't know how we can separate now from the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. I don't know how we can do that.
Depending on what that information
Because what
is.
I'm saying to you is that going into, there's no urgency until there's urgency. There's no urgency while the games are not being played. So if anything, my argument is buffered because since no games have been played, what is Jerry Jones pressed about? What's he pressed about? If no games have been played, you ain't lose none either.
All these games matter.
Wait a minute, they haven't played yet. And if they start out, like you said, if they start out 2-0, the leverage elevates, right? Well, the leverage is 0-0. The leverage is there.
If you take Ezekiel Elliott off the Cowboys, they go from a top 5, 10-ish kind of team in the NFL to something below that. The expectations for the team drastically change.
Let me just throw okay, fine. Let me just throw out another scenario to you. Let's say for the sake of argument, I don't think this is going to happen because damn it, it's the Cowboys and their fans would be happy about this, and we know how much that would grate my nerves. But here's the deal. Let's say, for example, the Cowboys start off at 3-0. And they said, all right, let's see what we want to go into New Orleans without Zeke. Let's see what Dak does then against Drew Brees at the Superdome, at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Let's see what happens at that particular moment in time. What if they have that kind of mentality and then lo and behold, a miracle happens and the Dallas Cowboys start off 4-0?
What if there's a bunch of new information and all the events favor the Cowboys? What if that is the case, then the Cowboys' leverage will go up and Zeke's will go down.
Okay.
We're not talking about that right now.
I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is, if you want to eradicate the new information and just deal with this moment, no games have been played. What am I pressed for? I don't need you. I ain't losing games. I ain't winning games. I'm not pressed.
Right, and
We
what
saw
happened?
with the Le'Veon and
I'm glad you brought Le'Veon up. And by the way, I know it's
Totally different situation. Totally different
could sit out
situation.
the season and then become a free agent.
That's right.
And Ezekiel Elliott can't do that.
Exactly.
On the other hand,
but kind of similar. I was shocked that he held out.
Because Le'Veon, I was not. Because Le'Veon was a second-round pick. Don't forget, Ezekiel Elliott signed a $16 million contract when he turned pro. He's made millions already that Le'Veon didn't make.
Yeah.
So he has you presumably a little more, as you would say, buffer, a little more cushion in order to pull this off. But they are loaded to do it now, not later, right now. And if you take Ezekiel Elliott off the team, that's why I say it totally comes down to what is he willing to do. If you take him off the team, the expectations for the Cowboys totally reset. That is leverage for Zeke. Doesn't mean he's going to be the top paid guy in the league, but it means that his guarantees should be somewhere among the top running back guarantees.
I think that Ezekiel Elliott is worthy of being the top paid running back in football, if not at the least at number 2. I'm not questioning whether or not he deserves his money. What I'm saying is, based on your behavioral issues, who are you to press Jerry Jones at this particular moment in time when he's negotiating with Dak? And if you're going to do that, understand that even though it's perfectly within your right to do it and your on-field exploits justify it, you ain't exactly in a strong position of leverage if no games are being lost.
If no games are being lost. The argument that, well, a running back position is not as important is silly.
I'm not saying, I didn't say
because
that.
This team broke with precedent.
But I didn't say that.
Years. I understand. I'm saying from Jerry Jones' point of view. Usually Gurley was hurt, so he went 9th or 10th, 9th. But usually you don't take a running back in the top 5 before Ezekiel Elliott.
That's true.
Once you do that, you're saying we believe he's actually worth that. So when that guy performs to that level, or even maybe overperforms, and he wants to get paid, you pay. If it's DN, then pay him.
And that's your argument. My retort would be quickly, Dak Prescott wasn't even getting paid $1 million, if I'm correct. Zeke getting over $6 million. So I got a quarterback that's never missed a game, that's been a model citizen, that's played all 48 games, started all 48 games, went to 2 Pro Bowls, delivered me 2 division titles. Plus, he plays the most important position, and he's
going to get $50 million plus guaranteed.
He's not even getting paid $1 million yet. And you getting $6 million a year. Am I going to prioritize Dak? You're damn right.
It's all guaranteed money.
He's got 2 years left on his deal. Let's keep that in mind. All right, guys. Max sure loves him some Odell Beckham Jr., but where does Stephen A. rank him amongst the game's best